Pinky stood in the doorway of the post office, looking outside. She watched all the ponies walking by. Pinky heard something behind her. She looked back and saw the unicorn at the front desk was making her way towards the restrooms. Pinky went back inside and followed her. The unicorn entered the ladies' room. She continued walking until she saw a leg sticking out from under the wall of a stall. She went to investigate and stopped dead in her tracks as she saw it. It was the mutilated body of a pony. She stepped back and turned to leave, but she stopped when she saw Pinky standing in the doorway. "Where do you think you're going?" asked Pinky. Said the unicorn, frightened. Get over here," said Pinky. The unicorn didn't move. "Now!" Pinky yelled. "Don't make me kill you, too." The unicorn slowly moved towards her until she was in front of Pinky. "Good girl." What are you going to do with me? Asked the unicorn. "Do?" asked Pinky. "Well, that all depends on you, of course." "What do you mean?" "Tell no pony about what you saw, and I'll let you live." She started to head back towards the desk. "Follow me." The unicorn followed Pinky, returning to her spot behind the counter. Pinky leaned against the side. "What do you want me to do?" asked the unicorn. "I'll do anything." "I know you will," said Pinky. "But first things first. What do I call you?" "My name?" asked the unicorn. My name is Fern." "Fern, huh?" asked Pinky. "You're going to help me dispose of the body in the bathroom." "Oh, no," said Fern. "I can't." Pinkie Pie held Fern against the wall. "What was that?" Nothing," said Fern. "I'll do it." "But first," said Pinkie Pie, "close this door." There was a noise at the front of the post office. Pinkie Pie and Fern looked and saw a royal guard standing at the entrance. Pinky dove behind the counter to hide. "Make him go away," Pinkie Pie whispered. "If you let him know I'm here, I'll kill you. Slowly." Fern started to sweat as the guard approached. "Excuse me, ma'am," said the guard. "Have you seen a pink pony around here?" "There are many pink ponies," said Fern. "This one's name is Pinky. Has balloons for a cutie mark?" "No," said Fern. "Sorry." "Well, let some pony know as soon as you see her." "Why?" asked Fern. "Is she dangerous?" "Extremely," said the guard. "Let's just say you wouldn't want to be anywhere near her unless you have a death wish." "Oh," said Fern. "I'll definitely let you know." "Thank you, ma'am," said the guard as he left the building. Pinkie Pie stepped out behind the desk as Fern locked the front door. "You did good," said Pinky. "And just like the guard said, I'm dangerous. And if you don't have a death wish, I suggest you do what I say." Fern took a deep breath as she entered the bathroom. The body from the mutilated pony was starting to stink. She held a hoof to her nose as she levitated a mop, a bucket, and a large plastic bag over to the stall with the body. She held back vomit as she mopped up any blood that she saw. She then levitated the body into the plastic bag and tied it shut. She set the bag aside as she continued to mop around the stall. Pinky leaned against the front desk as Fern left the bathroom with the plastic bag. "Where do you think you're going?" asked Pinky. "To dispose of the body?" Fern stammered. Pinkie Pie left the desk and stood in front of Fern. Fern took a step back. "Where are you going to take it?" asked Pinkie Pie. "Out back," said Fern. "To the dumpster?" Pinkie Pie thought about it for a second before answering. "Be quick." Fern exited the lobby through the door behind the front desk. She then headed through the employees' lounge and entered the back hall, which led out behind the building. She dropped the bag into the dumpster and closed the lid. She looked back at the door she came through and then around the corner of the road. She could be free. Ahem. Fern whipped around and saw Pinkie Pie standing in the doorway. "You weren't thinking of leaving, were you?" "Well," said Fern, No. Pinky grabbed her and slammed her against the side of the building. Don't lie to me, Pinky screamed. Fern's eyes started to water, and tears started to form. Please, said Fern, don't hurt me. Pinky smiled evilly and bit Fern on the front leg. Her metal tooth broke the skin. Blood oozed out, and Pinky licked it up. She bit down harder as Fern screamed in pain. Pinkie Pie stopped biting Fern and looked into her eyes. Blood was all around her mouth. Don't deceive me again, she said. Fern nodded, and Pinkie Pie took a step back. Fern fell to the ground, and she took a deep breath and stood back up. Pinkie Pie motioned to the door, and Fern went back inside, Pinky following her. Do you live here? Asked Pinky. Huh? Asked Fern. I just noticed the other door in the employees' lounge. Your room? What makes you think that? I have eyes, you know. The door has your name on it. So, do you? Yes, said Fern hesitantly. How many beds do you have? 2, said Fern. Why? I get tired too, you know. Twilight knocked on the barn of the door of Sweet Apple Acres. Applejack opened it. Hey, Twi, she said. What brings you here? Hey, Applejack. I just wanted to see how Apple Bloom was doing. Why, that's mighty kind of you, Twilight, but she's asleep right now. No, I'm not, said Apple Bloom, exiting the hallway and walking up to the door. Hey, Twilight. Applejack stepped aside to let Twilight in. I'm heading off to bed now, said Applejack, heading down to the hallway. Don't stay up too late, Sugar Cube. I won't, Apple Bloom said, just as Applejack disappeared down the hallway. She turned back to Twilight. So, what brings you here? Just checking in on you, answered Twilight. How have you been since the incident? Much better. Thanks for asking. Though I do feel sorry for Pinky. Really? Asked Twilight. How so? She used to be so fun and lovable, said Apple Bloom. She always threw the best parties. It's a tragedy what happened to her. You got that right, said Twilight. I want the old Pinky back. Wishful thinking, Twilight, said Apple Bloom. Twilight said nothing. So, how you doing? Fluttershy's fine, just a cut. Rarity you'll get an operation to get a new horn. And Rainbow Dash... What's wrong with Rainbow Dash? Said Apple Bloom sympathetically. Twilight sighed. She suffered a whole lot in captivity. She'll walk again, but it's not certain how long it'll take. Apple Bloom looked out at the floor. My biggest regret, she said. Hey, said Twilight. It's not your fault, remember? It's all Pinkie Pie's doing. She just corrupted you. But I still feel partly responsible. Cheer up, said Twilight. I mean, after all, she's gone, right? She asked, letting out a nervous chuckle. What's happened, Twi? Nothing. I'm young, not stupid. Twilight let out a sigh. We didn't want to worry you or your family, but... Twilight paused. Pinky escaped. Her last known location was the bay between Philadelphia and Canterlot. That's pretty close to us, said Apple Bloom. Don't worry, said Twilight. I won't let her get you again. Apple Bloom smiled. Thank you kindly, Twilight. Well, it's getting late, said Twilight. I'm going to bed. Good idea, said Apple Bloom. I'm a little tired. Fern opened one eye. Pinkie Pie was asleep on the bed near the door. She decided to take this opportunity to make an escape. She slowly removed the covers of her bed and slid across the floor, keeping an eye on Pinky the whole time. She made her way to the door and slowly opened it, causing it to creak. She started to sweat, expecting to see Pinkie Pie wake up. She didn't. Fern let out a quiet sigh of relief once the door was opened all the way. She crept out into the lounge. It was dark, so she couldn't really see where she was going. She bumped into a table. She quickly looked back at the door, but could see nothing. She slowly backed away from the table as the lights turned on behind her. Going somewhere? Fern turned around. When her vision came back, she saw Pinkie Pie standing in the bedroom doorway, eyes narrowed. "Oh, Pinkie Pie," stammered Fern. "I was just, going for a walk." Pinkie Pie's eyes stayed narrowed. "I couldn't sleep, so—" Pinkie lunged at Fern, slamming her head against the table. She fell to the floor, dazed. "I thought I told you not to deceive me," said Pinkie Pie. She grabbed Fern around the back leg and dragged her into the kitchen section of the lounge. She dropped Fern on the floor and looked on the counter. The knives had hoops, just like the ones in Ponyville. This was so ponies and Pegasi could use them, and not just the unicorns. She picked up a large kitchen knife and knelt down next to Fern. "Pinkie," said Fern, still a little out of it. "Oh, it's too late to be sorry," said Pinkie. "You must be punished." She positioned the tip of the blade above Fern's cutie mark. "Please," said Fern, returning to normal. "Don't." Pinkie pressed on the blade. It broke the skin and blood poured out. Fern let out a scream, and Pinkie Pie leaned in. "Music to my ears," she said. She continued to apply the pressure to the knife, driving it deeper into Fern's thigh. She let out another painful cry. "Please!" Fern cried. "Stop!" Pinkie drove the knife in a little deeper and stopped. "That should do it," she said. The knife's blade was halfway in. She took her hoof out of the hoop and sat looking at Fern. "Take it out," said Fern. It hurts so much." "That's the point," said Pinkie, standing up and heading for a seat on the table. She sat down in a chair near Fern and looked down at her. "You have to learn." "But what if you've injured me to the point where I have to go to the hospital?" asked Fern. "How would you explain this?" "How would you explain it?" asked Pinkie. Fern said nothing. "You see, I've been doing this for a while, and I'm very good at it. The knife wound should heal up in about 2 days, making it Sunday, I believe. Just in time for you to go back to work." Fern let out a sigh filled with both pain and a sense of no hope. "I'm not stupid," said Pinkie, reaching down and pulling out the knife. "I need you." She held the knife to her mouth and licked the blood off of it. Delicious.